I've heard upwards of $1.5 billion dollars is what illegal immigration costs the state. So
Hello, everyone. It's Brandon Lewis, founder of the Tennessee Conservative, the volunteer state's largest conservative news alternative. And today we are joined by State Representative Todd Warner to talk about the issue of illegal immigration and lots of other topics that are going to pass through or not pass through the General Assembly in this upcoming session. Todd, thanks for taking the time to speak to all of our subscribers.
thank you, Brandon. It's an honor to be on here with you today, and thank you for what the Tennessee Conservative does. Greatly
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. I often say you and three other people up there are really happy that we do what we do. And so I've got three.
Hey, that's all right. We greatly appreciate you.
So, first off, I've asked this question to most everyone, and I've gotten some different answers. You know, illegal immigration is a tremendous problem in Tennessee. We know that probably around $600 million is spent on illegal immigrant education alone. I think Mark Pody, if I'm bringing my numbers up, around 175 million in incarceration expenses. And then you start looking at the medical and the benefits, and not to mention the impact of the jobs that don't go to Tennesseans but go to cheaper labor. What do we
Absolutely.
know about illegal immigration, or what do you know working up in the legislature that maybe your average Tennessean doesn't know?
Well, and you raised a good point there, and some good issues. It's we can't get a true number. Starting off with one of the first ones you mentioned on education, as the state receives federal money, we cannot ask a child or a parent whether they're here illegal or not, because I think of the Title IX or some of the stuff to do within the federal money we take. So we can't ask. We can't get a true number of what that cost is. 2 weeks ago, I had a teacher from Williamson County give me a call. I think she told me she had 25, 26 students in the classroom. 3 of them spoke English. And she says, Representative Warner, how am I supposed to teach these students? Of course, they do get some help with some EML teachers or whatever they to help them with the different languages. But that's tough on a teacher when she's only got 3 students in that classroom that can speak English. So
Yeah, absolutely. I
it's
mean, it's hard enough to teach people when they speak English. I run an academy, and we have, I don't know, maybe 20% of the folks that I help, maybe 15 to 20, I don't know, speak English as a second language, but at least they speak it. But even then, it is remarkably difficult to communicate with them. They struggle with reading and writing in a way that an English speaker from birth does not. So to act as if dumping hundreds of thousands, or I think in the case of education, around 50 to 60,000 students that don't speak English well into the school system is a tremendous burden for teachers.
it is a burden for teachers, and it's hard for those students to learn. So, getting back to your question, there's not really a good true way I think we can really nail down what the cost is to the state. I've heard upwards of $1.5 billion dollars is what illegal immigration costs the state. So it's really not a true way to gather those numbers.
I agree. Well, I've heard some really great bills that are going to be coming through the legislature. You know, I'm excited about Gino Bolso's Trump Act, which I think is fantastic. It's got some wonderful things in it. Mark Pody is talking about doing some things that would secure our voter rolls in a more proactive way. What are you hearing about what's being brought on this issue, and what do you think the chances are of it passing?
I'm going to support any good immigration bills that come across. Representative Balso is one of my favorite members down there. Very smart, very intelligent guy. There's no doubt he'll bring a good bill. Same with Senator Pody. He'll bring a good bill on voter integrity and voter registration and whatnot. So those will be both good bills. We have our caucus retreat this weekend coming up, so I'm hoping we get a chance to discuss some of these bills amongst ourselves and get some thoughts. I have one, the Tennessee Legal Immigration Act. I think that is a unique bill, and should be, should be a good bill, and hoping we can get it passed.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, Bill. And when you're at that retreat, tell Cameron that I appreciate everything he does, and he needs to quit texting me all the time. It's kind of embarrassing, but
I will.
I'm just joking. So tell me
I promise
about.
you, your name will get brought up.
So getting back to your bill, talk to us about what it does. Talk to us about how it's going to make a difference with illegal immigrants in Tennessee.
So what it's going to do if a legal immigrant is apprehended in the state, that arresting law enforcement agency would reach out to ICE for a detainer. I think they can hold that immigrant up to 48 hours. After 48 hours, if they do not, ICE does not come and receive that individual, they would then seek to transport that individual out of the state up to 700 miles away. And that individual would be dropped off. Then the county would seek reimbursement from the state, and the state then would seek reimbursement from the federal government. If the federal government refuses to pay, the state then would take the money from the gas tax, withhold the money from the gas tax. Basically, is how it would work. And hopefully it would be a reimbursement for the state and not cost the taxpayers of the great state of Tennessee money to remove these illegal immigrants that shouldn't be here anyway.
I think that is a great idea. I love the funding mechanism. Essentially, it's like, hey, we're going to pay to clean up this mess that y'all have created, but we're going to charge you for it by withholding Tennessee taxes from going to the federal government. So I think that's fantastic. Have you heard? I know we talked to Sapicki. He's got a bill on driver's license. Gino Bolso so far has been the most, I would say, broad and sweeping bill that I've heard. We talked about Mark's bill, and of course, there will be others that will come up. And hopefully, if you're watching this and you're a member of the General Assembly and you've got something going on, let us know. But have you heard of any other rumblings or inklings on this specific issue before we talk about other things that are on your mind?
No, I haven't. I've heard a little bit about Spicky's bill, but that seems to be the only one. I knew Gino was working on a bill, and knowing Gino, it'll be a pretty comprehensive bill, and it'll be a good bill. So looking forward to seeing what's in his bill.
It sounded like it. One thing I keep mentioning to everybody I interview is this whole concept of defining what a Tennessee resident is. And, so many rhinos, my words, not yours, argue that under the Tennessee Constitution, we have an obligation to give illegal immigrants taxpayer-funded education, and because they're quote unquote Tennessee residents. Well, if we can't figure out that someone from another country that's here illegally is not a Tennessee resident, we got a problem. And so I think if we define that properly, a lot of our issues will go away. Not all of them, but a lot. Guys, it's our annual drive. The last 2 or 3 months have been tough for the Tennessee Conservative because the federal races put a huge strain on grassroots donors because folks were supporting Trump, and as well they should. I did it myself. But if you scrape together some pennies, we need to rebuild the bank balance here at the Tennessee Conservative. I don't take any money out of this publication. I'm still about $173,000 in the hole. I do this for free. And so if I can come in here and do this as a volunteer, please help me fund the reporters that we do pay, and it ain't as much as it should be to do what we need to do. We have big aspirations this year, but without big giving, it's not going to happen. We'd like to send a reporter to Nashville. We're getting to where we can almost do that. We're still probably about, $14,000 shy. And we also want to begin a subscriber acquisition campaign, and that's going to take money as well, because we need to build our list of conservatives in Tennessee for our publication, get the truth out there as we head into the governor's race. It's going to be critically important that we're engaged, that we pick a good governor, because Governor Lee has been a disappointment from COVID to red flag gun laws to bailing out and giving more corporate welfare than any other governor in Tennessee's history, putting more small businesses out of work, failing to address illegal immigration, but in fact making it worse. Like, we need to turn the page. We do not need to be burdened by what has been. with Bill Lee. We need to find a good conservative to run. And so that means we're going to be able to report to folks, hey, where do they stand on the issues? It's going to be really important. We've got to look forward and plan ahead if we're going to really make something happen. And if you give $50 or more, or a recurring donation, which we desperately need monthly recurring donations, desperately. You know, I had a lady email me today, and she had requested a free Tennessee for Trump bumper sticker, and apparently it got lost in the mail or something. And I look at her record, and she's not giving any money. And I'm not saying you have to give, but I'm telling you, if conservatives don't quit being so cheap with their political contributions to organizations and candidates, we ain't going to be able to turn this thing around. You cannot fail to put any money or time into this state and local stuff and then hope that Tennessee can move in a conservative direction. It is a fantasy that leads to a bad place. So guys, please do go to TennesseeConservative.com. And if you give over 50, if you become a $10 or more recurring donor, we will send you a Proud Tennessee Conservative tumbler, a koozie, and a couple of bumper stickers and a directory of your recently elected officials. Hear, hear. What else is going to come down the pike this legislative session that's on your mind, things that people need to be aware of?
Well, I think one thing, and you're aware of it, I'm sure, is the governor's voucher bill. That'll be number one. I'm hoping we can crack down, do some more stuff towards crime in the state. I wish the number one thing, Brandon, coming up would be let's forgive this loan that we've made to these East Tennessee people that have went through this terrible, terrible storm, and make that a grant. And let's try to help those people out. Give them a grant instead of giving them a loan. I know it's a no interest loan, but I think we can do a little bit more as a state, you know, in a very, very time of need for those people.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Bill Lee will call a special session to give Ford Motor Company $2 billion while they're losing $4 billion over the last couple of years trying to do what they're going to build a plant to do in West Tennessee. If you wrote that down, a fourth grader be like, no, that's not a good business to invest in. And if we can give it to the Tennessee Titans, millionaires and billionaires, I think that we can afford to do it for our own taxpayers.
Yeah, to me, that should be our number one issue that we take up when we get to a session, is figuring out what else we can do to help those East Tennesseans.
Well, great. I'm all for it. I read that school choice bill, and it's like there's a blanket $2,000 gift. There's 20,000 can get it. 5,000's released. It'll take 197 years for all Tennesseans to be covered if with school choice kids, if you do the math. And I think it's going to cost like roughly around 100, and you add it all together, it's 140, 160. I think it's like almost $200 million. And it doesn't do anything to functionally reform education in any way or change much. So, I mean, it just seems so weird that so much time has elapsed and that's what they came up with. But that's just my take on it. I mean, I guess it's a start, but as someone who runs a school for a living, I look at that and I go, I don't see how this is going to help the students of the school.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't supportive of the last one, and I don't feel like I can support this one either. It's just, yeah, I don't know. You know, to me, our priorities are in the wrong place. The first thing we should be doing is taking care of those folks in East Tennessee.
Well, very good. Anything else that people need to be made aware of, or issues that are coming down the pike that you want to talk about?
Not right now. Of course, you know, we're just now getting into the bill, you know, filing time. You know, I haven't heard a lot, but you know, there may be some as we go to the retreat this weekend. I'm sure there'll be a lot of different bills discussed and whatnot. So we may, you know, hear some stuff this week, but I hadn't heard a lot of you know, anything you know, interesting other than the school voucher bill, the immigration stuff, and you know, I'm hoping we can do something for those East Tennessee folks.
I agree. And, at that retreat, I would remind folks that illegal immigration is like the number one issue. Like it and the economy were tied as we surveyed people throughout the election. As I looked at internal polling data for many candidates in Tennessee, I saw that illegal immigration is right at the top. And so, what do you think the chances are anything gets passed? I've got a sheet of paper here that's back and forth of all the bills that basically were killed by Republicans in committee that would have helped stop illegal immigration or turn off the magnets. And none of them ever saw the light of day, and none of them ever had any supportive leadership. And so, I mean, what's different now? Is it the climate?
I don't know. I'm hoping leadership takes a more, a stronger role in the immigration, the illegal immigration, part of the bills. It and the economy. Of course, we got the right man elected. Thank the Lord. Donald Trump will turn this thing around. I think he'll do what he says he's going to do on illegals. And I don't know. I fumble sometimes down there, or it just bothers me that we have the super majority, and when it comes to true conservative issues, we cannot stick together. And
I
it's been
agree. So
that
I
way
will.
since I've been down there, and just it's aggravating.
Well, I will say this in closing, and I've said it to the last two people I've interviewed. It takes a lot of courage and conviction to support your constituents instead of the corporations. It really does. When you do that, when you just vote the will of your constituents, you don't get the corporate PAC welfare. You don't get to climb up the leadership ranks. You don't get to, join the eternal bless me club of leadership. I mean, it really, if you're going to just vote, and I'm not talking about being further right than your constituents. I'm talking about just voting with your constituents. It puts you in this minority of people that are very brave and that make a huge political financial sacrifice to just represent your constituents. And so I appreciate what you do up there, buddy. And if I can ever help you with anything that you're pushing that's conservative, I'll do it.
Well, thank you, sir, and I greatly appreciate the Tennessee conservative. And you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, you told the truth. It's kind of hard to stand up sometimes, against leadership. I had to do it last time a little bit, and when it comes to my district or the taxpayers of this great state, they come first.
Well, very good, buddy. Well, I appreciate you. I'll let you have the last word as we go out.
Well, just thank you. I look forward to serving again another 2 years in the 114th General Assembly, and I promise you, I'll work to be the most conservative member up there. I want government out off your backs and out of your pockets.
Well, very good. Guys, you heard it here first for Representative Todd Warner. This is Brandon Lewis, the Tennessee Conservative News. If you like this interview, if you learned some things that you haven't from the liberal left-leaning media in Tennessee, please do share this interview with others and follow us wherever you get your news on social media and subscribe to our newsletter at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Until next time, I'm Brandon Lewis, signing off.